Hi, my name's Sarah Donoghue and welcome to Project Fitness TV. Today I thought I'd look at form versus function and also touch on the use of steroids. Now please be aware this is audio only and not video. My intention for writing this feature is so that everyone who listens to this, whether it be male or female, but especially youngsters and those new to fitness training, should never be put off by how sculpted others look in comparison to themselves, or feel embarrassed, unworthy, self-conscious, intimidated, or even threatened, or worse, be forced into a life of unhealthy dieting, obsessive training, or even using steroids as a shortcut just to try and be like their idols, both over social media and on stage. Over the last few years, the world has changed, and suddenly many of the younger generation are aiming for internet fame and riches rather than study. This, of course, isn't a problem unless you become unrealistic and chase impossible dreams. Form versus function is an important topic, with many people not actually caring about function, because to them, form is the most important aspect, because it is our form which attracts compliments of others, as well as possibilities of sponsorship or even gaining fame from shows like Love Island or even over Instagram. However, the truth is that being functional and being healthy is more important than looking like you have stepped off the cover of a magazine. And with great function will come great form. So you have the best of both worlds, but it may take a little longer and you may have to work a little harder. The key thing is that form, basically how you look, doesn't always mean good function and can in fact be far from. I'm going to touch on steroid use here because when I talk about form versus function, a sprint, for example, looks great from head to foot. Why do they look great? Because their body is functional above all else, and they train for their sport, developing all aspects of their body. Not only do they look good, they're internally healthy. They are strong, fast, disciplined, powerful. They have flexibility, agility, endurance, accuracy, clarity, and coordination. And every one of these aspects is on point at the time of competition and throughout their life. If we look at most fitness models, bikini competitors or bodybuilders of any size, some may have the same or more definition than the sprinter. They are ripped and look fit like the sprinter. However, many use filters and apps to change their image. But the majority of your fitness heroes, regardless of if they admit it or not, are on steroids to look like that. At the time of competition or photo shoot, they are at their weakest. They are dehydrated, tired, they have brain fog and can't think clearly. They have little or no coordination, and internally their body is struggling to cope with the stress of the restrictive dieting, the lack of hydration, and on top of that, the image enhancing drugs. And they have been known to collapse both on shoots and on and off stage, some leading to respiratory or even heart failure. Form and function, to an outsider of the industry, go hand in hand, but the reality is that many of those you think are the most glowing and healthy, attractive people in the world are in fact the unhealthiest and are damaging their bodies, some beyond repair. Steroids, known as PEDs, performance enhancing drugs, are now actually known as IPEDs, image and performance enhancing drugs. They are in fact used more to enhance an image than to perform well at sport. Over time, the wind has changed. There are steroids for everything, including getting ripped and lean and keeping body fat at bay, like the fitness and bikini models. What someone does is up to them. However, This only becomes an issue when you buy into their diet and training plans, or try and look like they do, hoping to emulate them, which you may never be able to do. You simply can't get those bolder shoulders to the extent that some of these models do unless you go down that path. 99% of these people will deny any steroid use and promote that they are in fact superior athletes and as fit as the day is long. But that couldn't be further from the truth, and there are many reasons for denial. Some fitness models and the like would lose sponsorship deals, their income, even if their sponsor realistically knows they use steroids. But even they live in a world of denial because they enhance and promote their product. So there is a whole load of back scratching going on. A huge proportion also have big egos, and they want you to think they have godlike genetics, but all steroid users, which accounts for a massive amount of fitness models, bodybuilders, and some professional bikini competitors, have some form of body dysmorphia, eating disorders, paranoia, and most certainly mental health issues, and suffer with depression. It is a fact, and in the fitness industry, this is no secret, and there have been many suicides linked to this. So when you look at these men and women and yearn to be just like them, remember that not all is what it seems, and I speak from first-hand experience. And most importantly, they aren't as functional or as healthy as they make out. Over 8 years, I ran a show called Miss Galaxy Universe, a fitness-based show where the girls are put through a series of physical tests. The show also has open classes for women of every shape, size and age. So I've seen and been involved with more women than most on a physical level, where I have taken boot camps and watched hundreds of girls progress in both physique and fitness, form and function. The results of the fitness tests and training helped me to give advice where I needed to and see the difference between the girls and their body types in relation to their performance, which in some cases would amaze people who didn't know that body type and fitness levels don't always have a close relationship. I myself in my younger years of competition only trained for function. I then let nature take its course with how my body looked. Experts attempt to categorise people into 3 different body types, but the reality is that most of us fit into a mixture of 2 of these types, maybe even into all 3. Here are the body basic types, but the most important thing to remember is that your body's form doesn't always relate to its ability to perform. The ectomorph. Naturally lean with slight muscle definition. Ectomorphs have a high metabolic rate and they can often eat whatever they want and stay lean with long, thin muscle formation in the arms and legs. They also can often stay lean while doing little or no exercise. The downside is that ectomorphs usually have a very difficult time gaining any muscle. The mesomorphs. Naturally lean, muscular and strong, and respond the best out of the 3 body types to nutrition and training, gaining muscle quickly and shifting fat as equally as quickly. They have small waists and wide shoulders, giving them a good V shape. The endomorphs, chunky or stocky frames, they are rounded with wider hips and waists, and they have a tendency to put weight on easily. They have slow metabolisms and often have a difficult time losing body fat by diet alone, and they would definitely need to exercise to help boost the metabolic rate to see any fat shift. Very few are 100% one of these types, and although our genetics have a huge influence over our shape, the era in which we now live has also dictated much of how we look. We can assist and alter and sculpt our physical shape and metabolism by nutrition and training. However, just because we have a certain look doesn't always reflect in our ability to perform well. For example, just because someone is muscular doesn't mean they are fit and super healthy with great quality muscle. And just because someone carries fat, it doesn't mean they are unfit or unhealthy. A few years ago, a fascinating documentary was shown on British television conducted by Jodie Marsh, celebrity cover girl turned bodybuilder. She interviewed fitness models and bodybuilders. It was stated that to get into peak condition with high muscularity and very low body fat, not only was it imperative the diet was obsessively clean, lacking massively in carbohydrates and essential nutrients, but steroid use was rife. And by those interviewed, by their own admission, it was key for both male and female alike, because without steroids they simply could not get the body or fame desired. On meeting a steroid dealer for journalistic purposes, who will remain anonymous, I asked an array of questions and allowed him to talk freely, and what he said was not too dissimilar from Jodie's TV show, or at least the guests on her TV show. And the female client list he supplies to is just as extensive as the male. Remember, steroids also suppress body fat, so in addition to female training, because the reality is women aren't born to have excessively low body fat. We were built for certain functions, meaning for reproduction. Of course, many women would challenge me here, but basically most species evolved in two sexes to be able to mate and reproduce. And higher fat around the waist and hips is key to protect our womb for childbirth. I was surprised to hear that the steroid dealer's client list also ran to waitresses in high-end nightclubs and lap dancers. The fact is, many girls think it's normal to take a small pill a day to aid with suppressing body fat, and because some cutting drugs are available in tablet form, they kid themselves it's not a steroid because it's so simple to take. Not injected and has dynamic but often damaging effects, hence it being rife amongst male and female competitors, especially at the cutting stage for men, albeit men need higher doses with a more dramatic outcome in many cases and therefore prefer to inject. The liver finds it difficult to process steroids in tablet form, and it is indeed a toxin and puts strain on the liver. If we look at some functions, and here we should use the word athlete, which is universally attributed to someone partaking in sporting activity, requiring continuous explosive muscle function during competition, they are at their most healthy and strong at this key time. They are peaking in every way, and we see these athletes in the Olympics as sprinters, playing football and rugby and tennis and many other sports. These are true sports people, built for function, but ultimately they look fantastic as well. A fitness model, bikini model or bodybuilder, and for this purpose we will use the term competitor, because during competition they do not require any athletic ability. They're at their weakest at this key time, which is a huge contrast to the statement I just made earlier about Olympic athletes and other sporting professionals who are at their best the day of their competition. All of these people may look amazing, but the ones who really are amazing, healthy inside and out, and fit, are in fact the ones who have the functional ability. The athletes and sportsmen and women, not your Instagram fitness and bikini models and cover models. Don't be misled. Many sportsmen and women put many fitness and bikini models to shame with their physique, but it's just a byproduct and part and parcel of their diet and training and what they need to do to achieve their goal. It really is a beautiful byproduct of who they are and the path they have chosen, and it really is the most healthy option. They don't miss out on essential nutrients or carb starve themselves or dehydrate until they collapse, or worse still, die from so much pressure on the internal organs. It has never been proved that steroids alone are responsible for causing death, but they are most certainly linked to many ailments, mentally and physically, including death. By developing Miss Galaxy Universe and finding its supreme champion, the overall winner, this champion would only be determined if the girl took part in the fitness test part of the show, as well as the stage round, which would be both a bikini and an evening wear round. One of my aims was to attempt to steer our Galaxy girls away from any possible unnatural substance use, overtraining and unhealthy dieting. Hence, why we had so many classes for different body types. You simply had to perform, and you needed a huge amount of energy for the test, which wouldn't work on a bodybuilder's regime or that of a fitness or bikini model in many of the stage-only shows, because, as I have stated, they are at their weakest and they are dehydrated and internally unwell, regardless of how good they look on stage. The fitness test section of the show could give a strong indication of how you achieve your aesthetic results. We were a not-for-profit show and didn't have the money to drug test, but in reality, I truly believe only a handful of girls had ever used them on our stage. One girl in particular looked like she would be incredible at the fitness test. Her name was Emma, and after the show, she complained about her results and made a really big deal about it, which was actually quite upsetting, and I did show her the results. Remember that people themselves, when they look muscular and fit through steroid use, they also believe themselves to be as great as they look. Emma got tired quickly, she had no coordination, no agility or balance, and certainly no stamina. And only her bench press was high scoring, and she was the most muscular in the fitness model class. The shortcut training aid: form but no function, all show and no goal. With so many Facebook users so eager to share personal information, it's not so difficult to see obsessive behaviour occurring, which can certainly be damaging to the body, dangerously lacking in vital nutrients, dehydrating and overtraining. Form always follows function. This is the law, physical or metaphysical, organic or inorganic. Function leads the way in nature and architecture, and form follows. Because survival has always been given to the fittest. Beauty comes from functionality, because functionality is impressive in its own special way. Think of nature. Everything you see has a function. Nothing is for pure aesthetics alone. Only man has this strange desire and behaviour, and in some cases in nature, truly beautiful things often want to stay unnoticed, such as wild animals. I mean, when was the last time you ever saw a polar bear with abs wanting to show them off? Any physical fitness show is a great show to encourage all women or men into a healthier lifestyle, because anyone can be a winner. The harder you train for functionality, the more chance of a higher placing. And whilst training to be fitter, stronger, faster, your body will naturally take on the desired shape of its purpose, being everything you desire and more. But you don't need to be obsessive about looking at the reflection in the mirror. Your training, along with a healthy diet, will lead you to success without the need for obsessive habits. Put your trust in training for function, get advice on a healthy diet, and let your body naturally do the rest. Roughly 70% of how you look is down to your diet. This is the form bit. So alongside training to be fitter, stronger and faster, alter your diet and monitor your fat and carb intake. And as long as you are training well, your new shape will show through on cleaning up your diet. Many competitors, not athletes such as sprinters, I'm talking competitors, starve their bodies of carbs and fats. Now, you wouldn't drive your car to another city on an empty fuel tank, so why would you do it to your body? Carbs and fats are your fuel source, so maybe some professional advice is key, and what works for someone else may not work for you, and there is a big difference between a dietitian and a nutritionist. Dietitians are the only nutrition professionals to be regulated by law. Nutritionists are self-regulated, and anyone with an interest in healthy eating can call themselves a nutritionist and set up a practice after a very short qualification. Dietitians work with both the healthy and sick and are governed by an ethical code to ensure that they always work to the highest standards. Nutritionists cannot work with the acutely sick, only the healthy. Dietitians use the most up-to-date public health and scientific research on food, health and disease. They then translate this knowledge into practical guidance to help people make the right decisions about their lifestyle and food choices. Nutritionists are qualified to talk about food and healthy eating, and they can recommend NHS-approved supplements. But a dietitian is often a much safer way because you know they have a huge knowledge about everything that you can eat. Basically, you need to be aware of the information you are given. Certain nutritionists could give you a diet that works for them, but the fact is everyone is different, and a diet is not just about aesthetics. You need to be healthy on the inside. A dietitian has a degree in dietetics and a strong knowledge of biochemistry. A dietitian, in my opinion, is your key to a diet specifically for you. I'm a nutritionist and I never profess to know anything like what a dietitian knows. This doesn't mean to say a nutritionist can't work with you, but if you have ever had health issues or a sickness, you must choose the dietitian. I wrote an article for a magazine many years ago, and I looked at the performance of girls in our different show categories, like the one I mentioned earlier. I looked at their fitness test results and times on their ability to perform an amount of reps in a specific time allowance. We had the usual fitness model and bikini model categories, and we also had a beach body category, which was for the girl next door. And we also had a curvy category for the larger woman. We had a girl called Victoria. Now, Victoria was in the beach body category. She was a girl next door. Very beautiful. She had feminine muscle definition, feminine curves. She had no real noticeable biceps and triceps, and neither did she have that wide shoulder look with the tapered V-shape coming into the waist, but she did have a beautiful feminine figure. She was simply the girl next door, and looking at her brought no presumptions that she could win or even place high. And we encourage girls not to over-diet and dehydrate because that is not only damaging, but it also isn't a great look. Not only did Victoria walk away with the entire championship, she came top of just about every fitness test, and it was a delight to have her win the 3-day event with over 115 girls taking part. If we go back and study Emma's results, Emma only performed well on bench press, a very static exercise requiring no real athleticism, only strength. And the weight Emma had to press was much less than Victoria's due to their complete difference in height and size, which means body weight. Albeit Victoria was only 1 rep down on Emma, even though she was pressing a much heavier weight. On every other test, which is required, endurance, speed or agility and basic fitness, Victoria was a machine, healthy on the inside and the outside. She had no desire to be in the fitness model class or use a quick fix, so her training gave her a great feminine figure, and it also ensured she would power through everything. Victoria, in her spare time, rides horses, kickboxes, fences and plays golf, as well as trains in the gym. Emma only trains in the gym. Form and function don't always go hand in hand. Not everything you see is to be believed. My advice is to enjoy training, take up a sporting hobby, train hard and eat healthily. A great body will come, and when it does, it will be healthy, well looked after, and that body will look after you in return. Thanks for listening, and I really hope you enjoyed what you heard.